At 28, Marcus Rashford finally breaks his silence. Not with goals, not with celebrations, but with names. For years, the public saw a smiling academy hero, a symbol of hope, a voice for change. Yet behind closed doors, Rashford was learning a darker lesson. That speaking up can cost you everything. Contracts, trust, protection, even your place on the pitch. Insiders say the pressure didn't come all at once. It built quietly. Comments behind his back. Decisions made without him. Messages meant to warn him to stay in his lane. And when his form dipped, the knives came out fast. Why now? Why reveal it at this moment of his career? Because, according to those close to him, Rashford reached a breaking point where silence hurt more than truth. And that brings us to his list. 5 names, 5 stories, each one revealing how a voice can be buried long before it's ever heard. Number 5, Jose Mourinho. When Jose Mourinho took control, Marcus Rashford was still a teenager trying to understand power, hierarchy, and fear inside elite football. Publicly, Mourinho spoke about talent and potential. Privately, insiders say the atmosphere around Rashford changed almost immediately. Training sessions became rigid. Mistakes were not corrected, they were remembered. Witnesses recall moments where Rashford hesitated, not because he lacked confidence, but because he feared consequences. One wrong decision could mean weeks on the bench. One missed chance could erase trust overnight. According to staff members, Rashford was often played out of position, then judged as if nothing had changed. Feedback was rare. Silence was common. And silence, in that environment, was never neutral. It was a warning. The tension grew when Rashford began asking questions. Not publicly, not defiantly, just privately, about his role, his future, his development. Insiders claim those conversations were met with impatience. One chilling line was later recalled by a member of the coaching staff. At this level, you listen first, you speak later. The decisive moment came during a crucial run of games. Rashford felt ready, confident, fit. Yet he stayed on the bench while others struggled. No explanation followed, no conversation, just distance. According to those close to him, that was when Rashford stopped believing effort would be rewarded fairly. The consequences were immediate. Confidence dropped. Performances became cautious. Media narratives shifted fast, questioning his mentality and focus. Very few understood what had happened behind closed doors. Years later, people close to Rashford say this period shaped him permanently. It taught him that authority in football often values obedience over honesty, and that young players who speak too early learn the cost of being heard. Number 5 was not about hatred, it was about control, and about discovering too soon that silence can be enforced. Number 4, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. For the outside world, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was supposed to be Marcus Rashford's saviour, a former striker, a club legend, a manager who promised freedom, trust, and attacking football. And at first, it worked. Rashford smiled again. Goals returned. The narrative changed, but insiders say the reality was far more complicated. Behind the optimism, expectations quietly turned into pressure. Rashford was no longer just a young talent. He became a symbol of the academy, of the club's identity, of hope in a broken era. And symbols, as one staff member put it, are used until they crack. Training ground sources recall Rashford playing through pain, injections, fatigue. Matches piled up. Rest was discussed, but rarely granted. When Rashford hinted at needing time, the response was indirect but clear. The team needs you. The club needs you. The story needs you. What hurt most, according to people close to Rashford, was the silence when things went wrong. Poor results arrived. Confidence dipped. Criticism grew louder, yet the public support he once received faded. Conversations that used to be open became distant. Decisions were made without him. One insider recalls Rashford asking a simple question after a heavy defeat. Am I helping, or am I just surviving? The answer never came. The breaking moment wasn't a single match, but a realization. That loyalty in football often flows one way, that being trusted doesn't mean being protected, and that even the most well-intentioned managers can hide behind the system when responsibility becomes dangerous. The consequences followed quickly. Rashford's body broke down. Performances suffered. The media turned ruthless, and when the end came, it was quiet. No farewell, no explanation. Just another chapter closed. Number 4 wasn't about betrayal. It was about exhaustion, about giving everything to a project that quietly took more than it gave. Number 3, the media machine. For Marcus Rashford, one of the most damaging conflicts never wore a tracksuit or stood on the touchline. It came from headlines, panels, and voices that spoke about him, never to him. According to people close to Rashford, the shift was brutal. One bad run of form was enough. Stories changed tone overnight. Where he was once praised as intelligent and courageous, he suddenly became distracted, unfocused, too political. Insiders recall Rashford reading articles that questioned his commitment, his priorities, even his character. What hurt most was how coordinated it felt. Pundits repeating the same phrases. Columnists asking the same loaded questions. Television debates framing his social activism as a problem, not a choice. One former club employee described it as a slow character assassination. Behind the scenes, Rashford felt exposed. He wasn't attacking anyone. He wasn't skipping training. Yet narratives were built suggesting he had lost his way. Witnesses remember him asking privately, "Why do they never ask me directly?" The pressure escalated during international tournaments. Missed chances were magnified. Online abuse exploded. Racial undertones became impossible to ignore. According to insiders, Rashford tried to shield his family, but the damage was already done. Confidence didn't disappear, it eroded. The real breaking point came when silence followed the abuse. No strong defences, no unified backing, just distance. Rashford learned that the media rarely waits for truth. It waits for reaction. The consequences were lasting. He became guarded. Interviews shortened. Smiles faded. Trust evaporated. Number 3 wasn't a single person. It was a system. And systems, once they turn, rarely apologise. Number 2, Gareth Southgate. For years, Gareth Southgate was seen as a protector. Calm. Measured. A manager who spoke about unity, values, and trust. For Marcus Rashford, wearing the England shirt once felt like safety, a space where he could breathe. Insiders say that illusion shattered slowly. After the Euros, everything changed. Missed chances were no longer just football moments. They became symbols. Rashford felt the weight instantly. According to people inside the camp, communication cooled. Conversations that once felt open became formal, distant, almost rehearsed. Selection became unpredictable. Rashford trained well, followed instructions, stayed quiet. Yet his minutes vanished. No clear explanation came. Witnesses recall him sitting in team meetings, listening to speeches about belief and togetherness, while feeling increasingly invisible. What cut deepest, according to those close to him, was the silence during the storm. Abuse flooded in. Threats. Racism. Dehumanization. Rashford expected protection, not privilege, just acknowledgement. Instead, responses were carefully worded, politically safe, emotionally empty. One staff member later revealed a private moment where Rashford asked a simple question. Do they still trust me? The answer was indirect, vague, non-committal. And in elite football, that usually means no. The tension peaked when Rashford was left out of key matches without explanation. Not dropped publicly, just phased out. According to insiders, that was when he understood his role had changed. He was no longer a player first, he was a liability to manage. The consequences followed him back to club football, confidence shaken, identity blurred, a constant feeling of being judged for one moment that never went away. Number 2 wasn't about blame, it was about abandonment, and learning that even calm leadership can choose distance over defence. Number 1, Manchester United. For Marcus Rashford, the deepest wound did not come from a manager, a pundit, or an international coach. It came from the club he grew up loving. Manchester United was supposed to be home. Carrington was where Rashford learned to dream. Old Trafford was where he believed loyalty mattered. But insiders say that over time, the relationship became cold, transactional, and painfully one-sided. According to people close to the dressing room, Rashford felt increasingly unprotected. When his form dipped, briefings began to appear. Stories about attitude, about commitment, about external distractions. None of them came from Rashford. All of them hurt him. Behind closed doors, Rashford reportedly asked for clarity about his role, about trust, about whether the club still believed in him. The answers were diplomatic, vague, and non-binding. One staff member described the atmosphere as smiles in meetings, knives in silence. The breaking point came during a period of intense criticism. Rashford was struggling mentally and physically, yet instead of shielding him, the club distanced itself. No firm public defence, no clear internal reassurance, just leaks, whispers, and convenient silence. Witnesses recall Rashford arriving early to training, leaving late, trying to fix things alone. But football clubs, insiders say, rarely reward vulnerability. They reward results. And when results fade, so does patience. The consequences were devastating. Confidence collapsed. Performances spiraled. Fans turned. And the boy who once represented hope became a target inside his own home. Number one wasn't a person. It was an institution. And realizing that even where you belong, your voice can still be buried. Here is the detail insiders say Rashford never wanted public. During one private conversation, after another damaging headline, Rashford reportedly said, "I don't mind being criticised. I mind being used." That sentence, according to those present, changed everything. Because the truth was simple and brutal. Rashford was no longer failing the system. The system had already decided to move on from him. His activism made him visible. His form made him expendable. And silence made it easier for everyone else. The twist is not that Rashford spoke up. The twist is that he stayed silent for so long. Today, Marcus Rashford stands at a crossroads. Stronger mentally, more guarded emotionally, and far less naive. Those close to him say he no longer expects protection from football, only honesty from himself. His story leaves a question hanging in the air. What happens when a club raises a voice it later refuses to hear? Rashford's journey shows that fame doesn't silence pain, it hides it. And sometimes the loudest voices are buried not by enemies, but by the places they once called home.